everybody. This is our third Mentor Me panel for majors and careers. Here today we have Naveen, we have Malaika, we have Shruti, we have me. I'm your host. And let's go around and introduce ourselves.
So my name is Shruti. I'm currently at Carnegie Mellon University studying electrical and computer engineering, and I'm the class of 2023.
My name is Naveen Ballet. I'm a student at Cornell University. I transferred there from Indiana, and I'm studying statistics and economics.
Hi, I'm Malaika. I'm at the University of Chicago, going to be a junior. I'm a biology major, and I'm studying pre-med as well.
And I'm Shyla. I'm the president of Mentor Me, and I'm entering my sophomore year at UCSD in the fall, and I'm a general biology major and a theater minor.
I guess for me, both my parents are engineers, so that kind of influenced me, obviously. I grew up with that, so I guess I've just always been interested in like the tech field. And I think like going into college, or like a couple of years before college, before I started applying, I was between computer science and like electrical engineering. But I guess I just figured that I would do electrical engineering just because it gave me like a vaster approach, and I could always switch into computer science from electrical engineering, but not really the other way around. So that's kind of why I ended up here. And I'm happy, so yeah.
I started off as an econ major and then switched to stats and then went back to economics. So I'm still figuring out exactly what I want to do. And the reason why I chose stats and econ is probably because I don't know what I want to do. And those two majors, they gave me a lot of versatility in terms of what I want to do after college. With those two majors, like you can go into business, finance, or you can take a separate route and go into like tech and data science. So yeah, I chose those two majors because they want to give me a lot of versatility, and two, like I really, as you take more economics courses, especially in the higher levels, you realize that it's very different from, it's not very different, but it's different from like what you learn in IB, and it gets really interesting. There's much more, like it gets very theoretical, and it provides you with an interesting like framework of understanding things. And yeah, that just appealed to me.
I chose biology, not because I wanted to be pre-med. I actually decided that I wanted to be pre-med after going to college and choosing biology. But I always knew I was interested in like healthcare research. So that's why I chose biology.
Okay, I can start with the worst part of my major. But also the best, I guess. I think it's a very demanding major, which I personally kind of like because I like being busy or like challenge or whatever. But also the bad part about it is there are obviously some aspects if you don't enjoy, and if you don't enjoy it, but you're made to go through all that grind, it's kind of a pain. So I think like, especially if people are like looking to do the major, make sure you actually enjoy it because it's a grind. But yeah, I think other than that, the best part, at least for me, is that there's so much like scope or opportunity that I have in this. Like I could jump between different, I guess, specific fields and still fit in within like my major. And so like I could literally be doing anything and it would work.
Yeah, you can explore a lot of different fields with the stats major, and it's so applicable. First of all, like you learn programming and stuff, and literally every field requires like something to do with statistics. And yeah, Cornell, like I found that econ, while it's like a really good major, it's not as, sometimes you can get like very specialized into something, and then you lose sight of the of things that are very applicable to literally anything. And stats is very applicable to anything, while econ sometimes gets very specialized into specific topics. So yeah, that's why I like stats more.
My favorite part of my major is probably the content. You can learn some pretty cool stuff, and probably the worst part is how long the labs are. You can be in lab for like 5 or 6 hours every single day. That kind of adds up. So
very accurate. Yeah. My worst experience was that, and especially in California, in fall it got dark really early, and so I would walk into my lab, it'd be daylight, like blue skies, great weather, Californian weather, and then I would walk out and it'd be like cold and dark, and that's obviously not that great. But I mean, most of the labs are also really fun.
Okay, I think firstly, I know, and I guess people IB students are watching this, so I'm just gonna say, as much as I cursed the IB through the IB, I think I'm kind of glad I did it because it's actually like made me stress out a lot less in college because of that. So yeah, I think that's like I'm definitely low key grateful for the IB, but okay, well, at least from CMU, I can say that because it's a very demanding college, my work-life balance is like not exactly very balanced. But I guess the best thing that I do is be a part of clubs, because as much as clubs like are kind of work, they're also a lot of fun, and you're like working with people a lot, which is like generally like really exciting. So I guess the best way I balance it out is if I like commit to a club, I'm kind of forced to go and like enjoy myself and not like sit at home and try and get homework done. So I think that's my yeah, that's pretty much how I balance my life out.
For me, um, yeah, it's been interesting. Like I've only been at Cornell for 2 semesters. Yeah, 1.5, I guess. But yeah, college can definitely get pretty demanding, and it's very important to find a balance. And I guess it's very personal to each person. It's very personal. It's very specific to each person. For me, uh, I agree with you. Like joining clubs is a great way to get your mind off things. I joined I joined the rowing team for like 2 days, but it's a long story. And then there's so many things to do in camp in college. Like it's while you are like honing in on your interests, it's also a great opportunity to explore things that you would not have imagined yourself exploring. Like there's a lot of random things, and clubs is a great way of keeping yourself occupied. At the same time, I think most of the value of college, like in my experience, especially for like if you want to go into like business or economics or finance, most of the value comes from the clubs, like more business oriented clubs or more finance oriented clubs. So yeah, student organizations have been like 50% of my time at Cornell, and the other 50 has been like academics, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I will say like all tour guides, I think, or like orientation leaders when you go to your university, like they really stress on clubs, right? And like the example is that what they'll always do is like we have normal clubs from like a biology club to like, and then they'll name something like a really weird club. Like UC Davis has a wine club. Like that's like and but that's very true. Such a variety does really exist, and there is something for everyone. I think that's definitely like an important point an important point to stress on.
I actually agree with Shruti and Naveen. I think clubs are really important in balancing your time. And I think what was important for me was allowing myself to take club or to be a part of clubs that I was interested in over the ones that would benefit me in the future. And I think that was important in finding that like work-life balance.
Michael, which clubs are you part of?
My favorite club that I'm a part of is Women Who Lift. It's a women's weightlifting club. We empower other women to start weightlifting if they would like. Yeah, it's a really supportive community, and I made some really good friends there.
That's really super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think completely want to echo that and say clubs are really important. Yeah, as for me as well. And even though like what Shruti said is like you're forcing yourself to see people. Like even if you really want to work, like because UCSC is a similar environment to CMU in many ways. But like if you go to clubs, you have to see people and you have to interact with people. I think that's always great.
Okay, well, I don't think there's like one right process to figure it out. So this is just, I guess, a way that I would approach this would probably be kind of narrowing down the field, like the broad fields I'm interested in, and probably talking to people or like, I mean, this might sound boring to some people, but like watching talks, talking to people, or trying to like do something in that field in some sense to try to get a sense of what it is. And then, I mean, the one thing I'm going to say is like going into college undecided is not wrong. It's absolutely okay. And most people are probably going to go into college and figure out they're going to like something else anyways. So it's okay. But I just think that maybe if you narrow down to like a general area that you're like looking for, probably by talking to people or like trying to figure out what you enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's no right way. There's no correct way of finding what you want to do. But I do think when you guys will be applying to colleges and writing your essays. There'll be like a lot of self-reflection and just thinking about what you're interested in, what you like doing, and what you're good at doing. And that's a very important process. And it was pretty valuable to me. And no, honestly, like no one knows what they want to do. Like I know, like most seniors at Cornell or at any college, they probably don't know exactly what they want to do 10 years or 20 years down the line. And that's perfectly okay. But know what you're interested in a little bit, and let that steer you. Also, when you have no idea what you want to go and do, like going into college, it's sometimes it's easy to slip into traditional routes that like most majors go in, especially when it comes to business and finance. So you should probably, yeah, when you're in a college environment, it is a bubble, and you'll start to gravitate towards things that your friends are doing. And so just try to think, I mean, it's good to think about your interests now, and also think about what you're looking to get out of college in some sense, but you don't have to know it now. And it's a process that's different for everyone.
Yeah, I think definitely follow what you like, as cliche as it sounds. Even I think in IB subject choices, even if your subjects are really different, I feel like that's one of the benefits of the IB, and even going to college in the US especially, that you can choose something completely interdisciplinary. So even if your interests are really different, I think following what you like is what will help you ultimately figure out what you want to do.
Definitely. And I also do not want to be a bummer. But there are two things. One, if you're not interested in applying to colleges in the U.S., not unfortunately, it's just the way those systems are built. But in the U.K. and in India, you do have to decide what you want to do. But that way, IB can really be a great opportunity to figure out what you want to do. And like internships or programs that you do in the summer when you're in 11th and 12th grade, those things are also really valuable activities, I think. That being said, there are also some majors at large schools and even small schools, if I'm correct, that have a cap on them. And if you go into college undecided, sometimes it is quite hard to get into those majors. Not a big deal. I know several people that have gone into those majors anyways, but like I don't think it's something that people talk about. So I think it's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's kind of like confusing, but I applied to Cornell as when I was in high school, and like I didn't get in as a freshman, but they did say come as a sophomore. Like they gave me some requirements which are like pretty basic and easy to fill. So they're like, go to any university you want for the first year, and then you can transfer. And so I did that. It's mainly like built for like New York residents. So it's not like very common amongst like international schools, but I'm not a New York resident, but it was an interesting process going to a college knowing that you're going to leave after 1 year. It's pretty interesting because you can't interact with clubs the same way that you would in another university. And but yeah, it was an interesting process. At the same time, it's on the bright side, like it's like a 1 year trial of college. So you can try things out, do anything you want. And you know that in a year, it's going to restart. That's how I approached it. And I found the transition to be pretty, like, it was pretty good, transition. There are a lot of transfers at a lot of schools, not just Cornell. Like at most schools, there's a good group of transfers, and
most schools have entire housing for transfers. Like yeah, so there's a lot of transfers in most schools.
Yeah, they have housing. I think there was like 2,000 or 3,000 transfers or something. Like it was actually no, it was less, but there was a good number of transfers. Most of my friends are transfers because, yeah, as you said, like they group transfers together, and yeah, it was pretty easy, or it wasn't as difficult to like integrate with the rest of the Cornell community. And I think a big way, like for freshmen too, not just for like sophomore transfers, but for freshmen, like I realized my second year, the best way to really integrate with the community fast and find people to support you is through joining clubs. I joined a couple of clubs at Cornell, and like instantly you're already connected with like seniors and juniors and a lot of people that you wouldn't meet otherwise. So yeah, you don't realize it when you're playing in high school, but clubs is a huge part. I know we already talked about this, but yeah, that's what, as a transfer, and I've spoken to other transfers about this too. Um, yeah, joining clubs is probably the best way to approach it, and it goes for freshmen as well.
So the pre-med process in the US is you basically go to college for your 4 years, just like everyone else. Most schools don't have pre-med as like a set defined thing. You kind of choose a major depending on what you're interested in. It definitely does not have to be biology. I chose biology because I'm interested in it. But there are a lot of people who don't choose biology for various reasons. And then apart from your major, you do have to take a few requirements that will be very helpful for both the MCAT as well as when you apply to medical school. And then after applying to medical school, which either happens at the end of your 3rd year, between your 3rd and 4th year summer, or after your 4th year, depending on whether you want to take a gap year. So if you want to take a gap year, you would apply at the end of your 4th year. If you want to go straight through, you would apply at the end of your 3rd year. And then you will hopefully get an acceptance and go on to 4 years of medical school. After medical school, you are officially a doctor. So that's just 4 additional years after the regular undergraduate that everyone does. And then you are working as a resident, which is, you're not an official medical attending yet, but you still can practice medicine, just not on your own. Yeah, so I went into college very certain about biology, and I thought I was going to pursue research. And then after shadowing doctors and doing research on the side, I realized that I found research a little more mundane, and I wanted to be in the hospital working with patients. I just figured that was what stood out to me a little more. So to anyone who's unsure about it, I would really recommend giving it a go, trying it out, working with doctors, and also trying out the different fields in healthcare as well, like research, public health. There are so many. Yeah.
That's something that I definitely want to highlight, is that like also a traditional path for a lot of Indians is to go directly into medicine, but especially with in the field of health, there are so many options. In high school, I was considering to be a doctor. I was considering going into pre-med, but now I'm really interested in global health, and I'm interested in doing something there. So I think that's something to stress upon. While medicine school is definitely an option, a great option, and it allows you the opportunity to help a lot of people, there are other options in the healthcare field.
So yeah, like in terms of community, for sure, I think everyone, like, I mean, I think a lot of people's perception about like general like top tier schools for any major is that like, you know, there's a lot of competition because everyone's come from like the top of their school and they're like going in. And I think at least definitely CMU, and I can speak for a lot more colleges just in CMU, it's not really a competition anymore once you get in. I think everyone's like really out there to help each other. I mean, sure, there is like some amount of competitive spirit just because that's how most people are to get in there. But like in between, like amongst ourselves, we all support each other. Everyone's helping each other out. There's a lot of facility, not just from peers, but also from like school to like help you grow. And I think one of the biggest things I learned, and I'm pretty sure like Malika and Naveen would agree with this, is that like, you know, though we all came from like the top of our schools or whatever, when we went into college, you like get like this reality check that you're no longer like at that top, and suddenly you become like middle of the pack, probably below average as well. And a lot of people struggle with that. And I mean, like personally, not too much because someone gave me this reality check before I got into college, but a lot of people do struggle with the idea of, you know, like not getting that perfect score or getting like a 60% or a 70%, like getting like you know, a 2.5 GPA. Yeah, so I think that was one of the biggest things I learned, was that, you know, you don't have to be at the top and you don't have to struggle to be at the top, because it's not designed, like most classes are just not designed for you to get like an A. Professors make it so that you like don't get an A. So I think that's one of the biggest things I learned from CMU especially. But like in terms of like, I guess the tech community, definitely very, very supportive, very helpful. There are a lot of different opportunities, even for like for example, if there's a difficult class, there's always like like a separate tutoring opportunity for people to like, go and learn. So I mean, even though things are hard, I think there's a lot of space, a lot of opportunity to grow and to like overcome all those struggles.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I want to do. Going to, I mean, sophomore year, like this past year, I was pretty fixed on like going to banking and like S&T and like just finance in general. Still exploring things, but now I'm taking a gap semester or gap year next year. Like it's not because the university's like closed. It's more of a personal decision. Just taking a break, exploring other opportunities, and yeah, yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but I wanted to speak to something about what Shruti said about going to university and not being at the top of the class. I think yeah, like in a lot of like the top school, like top schools, like it's very common to feel that way and to be in that position, and it's important to know that it's okay, but being in that position works for some people and it doesn't work for others. For some people, because I was in Indiana University and it wasn't as like academically oriented, plain simply, but I found that from Indiana University, people could do the exact same things or go to the same places as another student like at Cornell. Some of the smartest people I know were at Indiana, and they did well because they were at the top of the class. So when you're looking at colleges, it's like pretty hard. Like I know like everyone's just gonna we're all gonna we all apply based on rankings, but just know that if you do go to like maybe not your top school, but something like third, fourth, fifth down in your rank, then know that there are still opportunities. It's just a matter of maybe putting a little bit extra work, because I did find that Indiana University had some of the most amazing, like really good opportunities, people doing really great things. And at Cornell, people also did great things, but it was just maybe a little bit easier to find those opportunities. But yeah.
So, well, as of right now, I want to go on to grad school, for sure. Like, I definitely want to do my master's. I'm considering doing like a PhD as well. But like after that, I'm not so sure I want to go down academia just yet. I think I want to definitely go into like the tech industry, work. I guess like those 9-to-5 jobs, live that life. But I guess like eventually at some point I do want to step back into academia, which is kind of why I want to go down like grad school PhD kind of route. Not really sure. I think nothing's finalized, but like I guess the only thing I know for now is I want to get into my master's and then take it from there.